Good morning everyone, welcome to my channel. Okay, Jessie Chorley panel, The Garden, number 13. We are cruising along now. What we're going to do this week are the two little houses. Now we have done two already. We did one over near the vine on that side, which has a little green roof, and we have also completed one here near the spindle, which had the little pink roof. So this time we're going to do the big one and also the little one that sits underneath. Excuse me. We're going to do this little guy as well. So the first thing I need to do is to trace the roof. Now I'm going to use my kitchen paper and I'm just going to sketch around the roof of the little house with my pencil, just to give me an idea of where this fabric goes. Just had a coffee, so I've got a bit of a frog in my throat, so I do apologise for clearing my throat there. So this roof has a little side section to the roof, so we need to cut a second piece of fabric out there for that. So we'll take that into account and we'll do this little roof as well while we're here. So I'll just slide that up so you can see this little roof. Where are you? So just a little sketch. It doesn't have to be perfect because nothing is perfect. So just a rough little sketch is all we need. Okay, let me bring that back down, the big roof. And now I'm just going to cut out our shape. And I'm just going to cut it a fraction bigger than where I sketched it. Because we want to cover the blue outline that Jessie has created. I'm not even on camera. I'm all over the place today. I'm just going to disregard the little bit that was on the side of the house. We'll come back to that. And the rest of the roof. All right. So that, oops, I need to cut the side of the roof off as well. So that should cover all the blue. It's pretty close. I always cut it a little bit bigger when it comes to the fabric too, and that just ensures that we definitely, you know, get the roof covered. So now I'm just going to place the template we created onto the fabric, and I'll pop a little pin in there, and then I'll cut around the little house roof. And I'll just go a fraction bigger just in case we've missed some of this blue sketch that Jessie's used on the panel, because I want to cover it so that I get a defined piece of roofing on our little house. Okay, I'll use a similar style as we did the other ones, but because our houses are getting a little bit bigger as we're going, we've got more room to play. So I will definitely embellish with lace, and I might even try and do some curtains because we've got a little bit more space there. So I think this little house is going to give us the opportunity to, you know, go a little bit bigger. So there's our little roof for our little house. Okay, now where'd my pattern bit get to? Because we need to do the side piece to the roof. So I'm just going to finish cutting out that little bit right there. It's going to be fiddly. So I've got this little wedge now that represents the side. That should work. So, I don't know, where's my fabric gone? there's a little scrap maybe I can use. Oh yeah, oh no, it's a wrong shape triangle. So I'm going to just put that onto there. That'll work if I twist that. Just making sure that my pencil marks are seen, because if I were to twist that around, my angles would be all off if I was to cut that roof piece out and and it was around the wrong way. So I've just got to make sure that I've got it right. Yep, I do. So I'm going to just trim that out. You could pin it, but it's only little, so I think I can hold it into position. All right, and that's my side roof. And it's just a case of trim the top a little bit, and that'll give me the side. Okay, so I will be able to now stitch that into position. And what I'll do to help me out a little bit, you could tack it down. You could, by all means, tack it into position, pin it into position. But what I'll do is on the back of the fabric, I'm going to place a little bit of my glue pen. Now I'm looking for my glue pen. Why can't I see my glue pen? There it is. So I've just got a book here that I can add glue to, my little glue stick. And this also helps the edges of the fabric from fraying. So this will not only tack it into position to make it easier for me to sew, it sort of helps its fraying as well. Not fraying is what I meant to say. Okay, so there's my little panel. That's going to go right there. And just tap it down into position. I'm wondering if we should do the side piece to that roof in a different colour, because it's not really going to stand out. Maybe it will once it's embroidered. I'm just thinking maybe we do. I'm going to cut it out in a different colour and see if that sort of does anything. So I'm just popping it on this blue fabric and use the edges that are currently cut. I'm just going to trim it out. That's pretty good. Doesn't have to be exact. That's one thing we've done with this panel, is it does not have to be exact. It's sketching, it's then painting it in with fabrics. That's the little side piece there. Oh, I think I've got the angles wrong. Yeah, I've got the angles wrong. It technically will fit that way. So, but I'm not going to change the colour. I think I'm going to do the roof. Oh, no, I'm going to cut it out again with the correct shape, just to double check that I don't want to use it. So I think I need to do it like that. Okay, let's now trim it into position. Oops, oh, it's fiddly fiddly. Okay, there we go. So I can get rid of that one, my template, and we're going to use that one. Yeah, I am. I'm going to use the second colour for that side. I think if I'd stuck with the same colour, you wouldn't notice that the roof returns on itself. And by just changing it slightly, it could be the shadow on the roof has sort of changed the colour of the roof, so to speak. Well, that's my story anyway, but I think it helps with the shape of the house. So yeah, I'm loving it. I didn't have to deal with that issue on the last little house because the heart next to it had lace around, and that lace covered the return on the roof. But here it's very much in full view. So that's that little roof. Now I might just glue that little piece into position now before it gets lost in the mess that is on my craft table at the moment. So I'm just going to, and that's where this glue is fantastic for these little itty bitty pieces because they're so little. Yeah, I'm loving that. Okay, beautiful. So I'll let that sit for a moment. Now we did trace the second piece out. Where's my paper? There's my little roof. So I'm just going to fussy cut this guy out and then choose a fabric for the second roof. Gee, we're coming along now. I can't believe we're at video 13. So not a lot more to do. We've got the ship and we've got the sun, and then there's some random little bits and bobs around the place. And then, yeah, we are sliding into the finish line. So happy with it. It's come up so well. It's so pretty. I don't know what you all think, but I love it. Just love it. It's been such a nice piece to work on. Can't wait to see what else Jessie does in coming months. I believe she's working on a Christmas, another friendship panel where you get all the little pieces, you stitch them and then join it all together to make a big panel. I'm just trimming that slightly because it was bumping into the embroidery on the side there. Yeah, I love that. Now what fabric will we use for that little roof? What do we do there? The purple. I'm thinking we might do the green. No. Have we used the blue? What did we do on that little house? No, we haven't used the blue. Let's do the blue. Okay, so I'm now just going to place the template on the fabric. I was just looking at that edge, it's a bit frayed. Just want to make sure. I'm going to pop a pin in there as well because it's wriggling around too much for me. That's it. Now I can just carefully cut our shape out. So these little houses, they'll have to have little gardens, which means lots of random embroidery and little bits and pieces. Houses are great fun. I don't know if any of you are doing the Roxy Journal of Stitchery prompts. We had a little house. That was lots of fun. So we got to do quite a big house and then just put random trimmings around the place. It's popping my pin away. Okay, there is the roof going into position. Now where's my glue, my book, and my glue stick is just there. Some more out and run some glue. Now I'll let this sit for a few hours to allow that glue to adhere. If I was to pick this piece up and start embroidering, there's every likelihood that glue would give way and, you know, pretty much a waste of time. So I'll let the piece sit for the glue to set and then come back and start stitching. All right, so the little house roof is going on. Lovely. Just squish that down so that it's taking. Love it. Okay. All right, so nothing too much really to add at this point because it'll be all couching threads down, a combination of random colors. I don't think I'll do much garden down at the bottom of this little house because the swan's feathers are there. So I think he will just be a very simple stitch it down scenario. I've done all the seed stitch in that zone, so once I sort of finish that little guy, I'll be up and away, and then I'll start on the big one, and I have plenty of room there at the base to add flowers and, you know, some gardens. I also have this flower coming up the side here. We're definitely going to do something with that. I'll do some green leaves so that they're 3D like our tree, and then I'll probably do something elaborate with this flower. Not sure if it'll be the fabric, for the Tilda fabric, or I'll find a lace, but there'll be something happen there. And then I'll satin stitch the roof as well, like I did previous houses, so it sort of keeps it all tied together. Okay, so once that little house is done, we're sort of getting to everything in this corner now, which is not a lot, and it's the little ship and the sun and some little random pieces. So we are getting close to this little corner. Lovely. Okay, I'm going to pause the video here, and then when I come back, you will see what I did for the little houses. Okay, everyone, I'll see you in a moment. Bye. Okay, I'm back. I've finished my little houses and my flower. So what did I do different this time? Probably more the flower than the little house. I did stitch a piece of fabric above the door of the biggest house to sort of create something a little bit different instead of doing all of the satin stitch that we've been doing on top of the little houses. So this little one down the bottom, I put a little plant going up the side of the house with some little colonial knots to sort of indicate that there's some little flowers on that branch or tree that's growing up the side of the house. Other than that, I didn't do anything too special than just fill it in the same style that we've been doing. Then I got to the bigger house and I had a little bit more room to play. So I ended up adding a garden across the bottom, and I used a few different elements to sort of build up the garden. I used some lace that I had that had this little shape about it, looked like a little fence. Then some little flowers that I separated from a string of flowers and just embroidered those pink ones in. Then some embroidered, what do you call it? It's like a trim, an embroidered trim that I can cut little bits of. And then throughout it, I put some little pearl beads and some little yellow French knots, which was some leftover thread from when I did the tulip flower at the top here. What else did I do in there? That's probably about it. I just kept adding layers, basically. As you can see, I started with just the green lace at the back and then built up to the front of it. And then right at the very end, I added some eyelash yarn. I just wanted to show you, I haven't stitched this side in. What I mean by eyelash yarn, I'll just pull it out. It's a little thread with all of these little eyelash pieces coming off of it. Now they use it in knitting to make scarves. So all I do is with my needle is I pushed it in behind that lace that looks like a fence so that it's just tucked in there, and then just a few little stitches to hold it down into position. So that's all I did. So I got a little piece there, and then I put a longer piece through here. Just helps soften your flowers. It's a lovely little element that you can use in your gardens. It sort of helps add texture. I just noticed that I haven't stitched the little doorknob, so I'll have to go back and do that to complete this section. Now the flower, I had some real fun with this. I just felt in the mood to play with texture. So first thing I did was I beaded, it was 3 petals. I beaded the center petal with the green, the cream, and then the green again to create like a bud coming out of the center of this flower. Then I used some silk ribbon and just stab stitched the last 2 petals in and filled them up. Just came up and down, up and down, up and down to create a layer of ribbon on the outside of the bud. Then I came back with some Appleton yarn, if you can see it. It's get it right up to the camera. There's yarn in there that's in the same color as the ribbon. I don't know if I get my needle under there to really show you. And then I came back with the yellow just to add a little pop of light at the bottom of the petals, as if it's connecting it to the stem. Okay, so, and then using the yarn, the Appleton wool as well, I used 3 strands, laid it down, and then couched it into position with some cotton. Down the bottom here, the stem was quite thick, so I came up. Where did I start? My knot was up here, and I went straight down to the bottom, and then 2 more big stab stitches went into the bottom here to thicken up the base, as Jessie's drawn a little thick base to that stem. Then I went across and couched it down with some embroidery cotton, and also put that through the leaves. Now the leaves are the suede, exactly the same as what we used in the tree on the other side of this panel. So it was nice to bring them over here so that they're sort of on one side of the Jessie panel, and now they pop in over here as well, sort of tying it all together. Then I added, in addition, some eyelash yarn in amongst the petals there and just stitched it down. So I cut a little V. I cut a little length and created a V, and then just 3 or 4 little stitches to hold it into position. And it just gave that nice fibrous, messy look to the flower. So yeah, had a bit of a play with that flower. Now, what else did we do? I think that's it. The garden was a lot of fun. I really like doing those clustery gardens where there's like all sorts of chaos going. There's my little piece of eyelash yarn, so I'll have to stitch that down into there to hold it and do my doorknob. So that's it. That's our little houses done. The chimneys I just satin stitched as we have in the past. Now I did so much seed stitch up and around the top. I had to do in here, and then work my way around the rays that are connected to the sun, which I think will be the next video. I'm pretty sure I'm going to work in this corner next, so stay tuned for the next video in the series. We're getting close to the end now. We really only have the sun and the ship to go, so much fun. Okay everyone, look after yourselves, happy stitching, and I will see you all in the next Jessie Chorley video. Bye.